if I'm pronouncing his name right. We could just call him Turtle.
All right, we're back another Sunday, 6 o'clock on our Black Media with the political spectrum. We're with Clinton and myself today, and Dante should be joining us soon. But Clinton, how's your Sunday going?
It's feeling nice and rainy.
Yeah, and a little bit of cold with that.
Um,
All right, so you don't typically hop on until about 6:10, but you're with us early today. So the first 10 minutes, we usually just talk about maybe the top hot 5 political items in the nation. And I think you and I were talking about it right before we went on air, but Mitch McConnell is leaving the Senate.
it's about time.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, but when you look like you're having a pen stroke at one of your public conference,
Mm.
it's time to step down.
Yeah, was that Senator Feinstein who passed away in office from California? Yeah, that's a bit, I'm not judging, but, I'm thinking, at some point, don't you want to just travel or just do different things or,
And if your health is declining, why do you want to keep doing it? I mean, don't
Right,
you want
right.
to ease up, put the brakes on? And you remember that public speech that McConnell was giving, and he
Mm.
gets smashed out for how many seconds was it? That he,
It was it was close to 3 seconds, 4 seconds, but it was a decent pause.
I think he had a pen stroke. I mean, no one will admit to it, but that's my guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, he definitely know everything's fine. But I don't think we should, limit people by age, but certainly 2 or 3 terms in the Senate. I mean, that's enough. Like, come on, let it go.
Well, it's not that I want to limit people by age, but if you're starting to have major health problems, and yeah, when you phase out for I don't know how many seconds,
Yeah,
and you've got health problems. All right. I'm
yeah,
all for handicapped people, disabled people, and elderly people holding office if they're healthy.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
if you're healthy.
Yeah, that is the key part because if you're not healthy, you can't really advocate the way you should.
No,
So,
and you can't really dedicate all your mental faculties for the people. Like
that's
if you're undergoing cancer treatments, if it's something resolvable, maybe you can endure it. But if it's like, well, McCain type of brain cancer,
yeah,
you're retired.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
most definitely.
when he was going through the chemo and everything, and he knew he probably wasn't going to make it, he still wasn't retired.
Yeah,
That was ridiculous.
yeah. That I don't know if it's the power of the money, but hey, we wish him well.
Yeah.
I was just looking at our next topic for the first 10. Oh, that's what it was. Our involvement with these wars across the ocean, in particular Gaza and in the help with Ukraine. I think that's going to turn around and hurt Biden.
I definitely know it's going to hurt Biden. Number one, we don't have the resources anymore. We're stretched too thin in too many foreign conflicts, and we need to pull back. not just money, but manpower,
Mhm.
supply, everything. We need to get our own house in order, and our own house is beginning to crumble.
Yeah, yeah,
And I've said this a million times on past episodes. We can't police the world.
yeah,
We can't.
yeah. As a matter of fact, honestly, it's interesting how much we're investing in these conflicts, and we don't invest in things right in our backyards, like hunger and shelter needs, and so it's interesting to me. So yeah.
Well, we have a certain mindset when people who are empowered do. Where all they're
Mhm.
well, this is a strategic, valuable spot. That's great. But how about you work on survival first?
Yeah,
Then you can play strategy later. We're not at a point at this moment where we can worry about being strategic
yeah,
in world affairs. We need to pull back and get our own house in order
yep,
for misusing the metaphor so much. Uh,
yeah,
our people are suffering, and it's going to get worse.
yeah, most definitely. I guess we'll get it. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, Tupac said it, best in one of his songs. We have a lot of these wars, but none of them keep our people right here at home. So I guess we'll get it one day. And I guess our final, I'll let you do the final one, our final short topic.
Oh, let me refresh my mind on the poll numbers between the presidential candidates. Um, I'm sorry, but Biden's poll numbers were pretty bad. Uh,
Uh,
okay. And Nikki Haley, she still has not dropped. Uh,
I think.
I don't understand her logic. Can you explain it to me?
Well, at first I did, because honestly, there was a time when she would have been the only one that could have beaten Biden. As time goes on, I think Trump is gaining enough traction that he might very well be successful in that race.
But
Uh,
what's she thinking? Why is she?
well, if she just think about 2 weeks ago, her poll numbers, she was polling better against Biden than Trump. And so in her mind, and me as well, if I'm in that position, then naturally you would want to put me as a nominee. Well, as Trump gets free publicity, as this court stuff does nothing but help him.
Yeah.
I mean, and as I'm a Biden Harris fan, but they're doing everything wrong. Well, unstrategic. I won't say wrong. They're not very strategic. We'll see.
Well, I told you a while back the best way to eliminate competition is by ignoring them.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
give them
yeah.
attention where it's bad or good. You're giving them free press.
Hmm.
Commercial they don't have to pay for. That's an advertisement they don't have to pay for.
Yep.
And they're playing right. I don't know if Trump's doing this on purpose or it's just coincidence, but they're playing right into his candidacy.
Yeah.
And you would think these are intelligent people. Don't they know the more they talk about him, the more press they're giving him, the better it is for him?
Hmm.
You know,
Well, people, I used to think the same as most people. He needs to pay for the riot, and we're going to do this, and he needs to. He's playing this like a reality TV show, and the people that support him for economic reasons, business reasons, or because I'm rich too. No one cares about that stuff in the courts. Nobody cares. I mean, I'm not saying I don't care, but nobody cares about that. The number of people that have said to me, I like when Biden was in office because my business thrived. That's what people care about. Unfortunately, that is what people care about. And all that other stuff, it's not impacting them. The fact that he grabs women by, what, or the
well,
fact that, he had a riot, that didn't bother people. But,
think about
my business thriving does.
I blame the press. If they had just covered it like a regular news story and it went on the real news, he would not have the popularity he has. Now, whether if I'm a Republican, Democrat, whatever, you're giving him press. You're focusing on him 24/7. You're making him bigger than he is. If you just went so and so in court and then went to the next topic, it would have failed.
Right.
They won't do that. They're consumed with, I hate to say it, Trump derangement syndrome, where they think if they just keep talking about him, they can prove to the world how bad he is and that they'll win. No, you're playing right into his hands.
Yeah.
And whether you are for Trump or against Trump, it's, you're doing exactly what benefits him in the campaign.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think the Fonnie Willis situation only gave him more leverage. I just it's amazing how he takes people call him unintelligent, but he takes stuff like that and he makes it work in his favor.
I have to give that, how can I say, that benefit to his lawyers.
Mm,
That wasn't him. That was a brilliant move by his lawyers.
yeah.
To take Trump down, a better person than Fannie Willis should have been recruited. Fannie Willis was full of ego and all about making a name for herself, and it made her blind.
Hmm.
And she got sloppy, and now she's gotten herself in a bunch of trouble because of her ego.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So people haven't been able to focus. If you're going to take on the next president, you have to focus completely on the case, not how it benefits you. And she knew that.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think I think she took for granted the fact that Trump has enough money in his war chest to hire an individual or a team to just investigate her life. He has that kind of resource. And
Yeah.
so I think she took that for granted.
Any ex-president would have resources like that.
Well, yeah, you're
No,
right.
he's an ex-president.
You're right. You're exactly right.
Somebody is going to have privilege in the best legal system.
Yeah.
Period.
I
And
mean,
if you have the best legal system, that means you're going to be put under scrutiny if you're prosecuted.
hmm
She should know this. And oh well. I just think that she was the wrong selection to prosecute Trump. If I were a Democrat, I would pick someone who wasn't so consumed by making a name for themselves. Someone who could keep their focus on the case and only the case and nothing else.
yeah, I think honestly, hindsight is 2020. What would have been nice is if she probably got with two of her DAs in that area, maybe DeKalb County, Cobb County, and worked together to find a special investigator prosecutor. I
Well,
think
and
I
she
think yeah.
tried, but she was turned down by a lot of other people.
Yeah, but at some point, something that sensitive needs a little more, structure around it. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was kind of weird. But all right, we're gonna hop into our general topics. Hold on, I have it on my phone, so then I turned the phone off. So, yeah. So, what about the Georgia bills that passed over crossover? This was Dante's topic, so I'm gonna have to look that up.
Well, since Dante's not here, I think we can weigh on him. And let's go to the meat Pete picks.
Okay, let's see. All right.
Now you pretty much been following the possible VP picks, correct?
Well, yes. Yes. What I would like to see, and I know this would never happen, is maybe a Condoleezza Rice or a honestly, what would work well for Trump, and people don't think this is crazy, Nancy Mace. If he had a fiery person like a Nancy Mace, oh, there's no way in the world they could slow down that momentum.
I think it would benefit him to pick Chelsea Abbott because she used to be a Democrat before she became. And it's not that Mimit and the rest of them are qualified. It's just Chelsea Abbott is not only an ex-Democrat, she's a veteran. She has some knowledge of what it's like to be in the military, and I think he needs that on his team.
Yeah. I think honestly that's because I always think about them, standing right beside one another, working together, and I think that's a good looking team. I think they would be very competitive with Biden and Kamala, and honestly, she can hold her own against Kamala. So,
I think she's I think the only reason she left the Democrat Party was a few squabbles and disagreements. She's an old style Democrat.
Yeah.
And with her experience in the military, I know she can hold her own against Kamala Harris.
Yeah. So that will be interesting. To see her in that space. But the other ones he had on the list were Tim Scott and Vivek. I can't pronounce his last name.
Vivek Ramaswamy,
Yeah.
probably butchered that name. He's highly intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
but I think anything that Vivek does against Miss Harris is going to be or for sexism in. It's going to nullify the debate. But with Chelsea Gabbard, you can't use that angle. They're both women.
Yeah.
And therefore, people will focus on the topics and not the identity politics.
Right. Right. I agree. So I don't think Tim Scott. I think Tim Scott would be good as a maybe a Secretary of Labor or something like that. But I don't see him being a VP.
Secretary of State.
God, no.
Right.
No. You give him way too much credit.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh no. I honestly see a good. Honestly, people are going to fall out on this. Your boy from Florida. Oh God, what's governor?
DeSantis.
DeSantis. I see him as a good Secretary of State.
Oh, okay. Well, he's not in the running anymore. He's lost state governor for a while.
Well, if somebody calls you up and say, "Hey, you want to be on the cabinet?" I mean, what will you do? You gonna go and be on the cabinet?
If he sits it out and just remains governor for a little while, improves his opportunity to run for the presidency in the future.
Well, you're right, because his predecessor, oh God, I forgot his name, but he was governor right before DeSantis. He's now a senator, so that can be an easy progression for DeSantis to go into that slot should he choose. So we'll see.
I think you're too early this time. I think him trying to do a presidential bid this early was a real grave mistake. I don't think it was his time.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, I think DeSantis went too far to the right. I think he was trying to prove himself, did way too much. I think he alienated even the Republican base. I mean, some of that stuff was unnecessary. For example, you now have universities in Florida that are now laying off their diversity, equity, and inclusion folks. I mean, that's a little bit too far. The whole rhetoric around what is it? Oh my goodness, I can't think of it. But critical race theory. I think he just went too far with that and made himself look a little too what's the word? Prejudiced.
Well, he has the fear that a lot of people that are not minorities have, that the critical race theory is going to actually do the exact opposite and reverse racism.
Exactly.
It depends on how it's being taught. It depends on what grade level it's being instructed. And it depends on the instructor. Anything can be perverse if you put it in the hands of the wrong people. Anything.
Yeah.
I understand their fear. They're afraid that critical race theory will be flipped to basically promote hatred against anyone who is a heterosexual Caucasian male. And it depends on the circumstances. You shouldn't you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Okay. Yeah. Everything can be perverse, everything can be twisted. And they're looking at the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. But who else is on that short list? I'll tell you who I would love to see, but it would never happen, is a John Kasich. I wish John Kasich would have run for president.
I heard much about him recently. Have you?
Right. Well, he's laying low. He would never, ever be the VP to Trump.
Oh, I know that. I'm talking about, I haven't heard anything, recently in the news about it.
Oh no, he's kind of laying low. I mean, he'll show up on a news show here and there, but he's not doing anything major. But others that you're thinking about that were on that list, I think that might be it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty short list. Mm-hmm. But I don't think Vivek would be a good selection. It's not that he's not qualified, but every time he'll rebuttal Harris, they'll throw in sexism and they'll debunk anything that's a topic in the debate, and people will become sidetracked.
Yeah, totally. Yep, I agree with you on that. All right, we're going to do our first commercial break and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. And so, what's our next topic for the evening?
I believe it's like in the Uganda situation about the bill being passed.
Let me see.
Am I pronouncing that correctly? Ghana.
Oh, Ghana. Yeah, so the U.S. threatens foreign aid restriction of Ghana if anti-gay bill becomes law. This is where the United States tends to get a little bit too involved with stuff that doesn't matter to us. Honestly, while I don't necessarily agree with what the direction Ghana is taking, sometimes the United States gets a little too much into people's business. Let them handle their policy.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on this. Here's my take on foreign policy. Unless the people are a direct threat to us or an indirect threat to us, I don't think we should interfere. Now, if we perceive that they will be an indirect threat to us now or in the future, okay, maybe. If they're a direct threat to us now or in the future, absolutely. But if they're not, we need to just keep our nose out of it because we can't dictate what's fair and right in every sovereign nation in the world.
Exactly.
I'm not condoning what they're doing, okay? We just need to understand other cultures do not think the way we do. And unless that we have skin in the game, we can't afford to get involved in a conflict, and we definitely can't afford to, place tariffs and restrictions on imports and exports.
Exactly. And that's how we got to the Dayton Accord when we look back at Sarajevo and Herzegovina, how that government got formed around the United States, becoming involved in that conflict and, bringing them to Ohio and saying, this is what you all should do. And now they have 3 presidents. I mean, it's just, sometimes I think, as a country, we meddle a little too much.
We want everyone to think the way we do, and then we want everyone to have a sense of right and wrong that we have. But we need to understand we can't control the world. And yes, if we were so concerned, about right and wrong in other countries, why are we not stopping slavery in some countries that still have it to this day?
Yeah.
I mean, they're still selling people in an open market as slaves in parts of the world, and we don't say nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a little hypocritical. We want to correct people in some countries, and we turn a blind eye to what we perceive as wrong in others. So here's an idea. Unless they're a threat to us, why don't we stay out of it?
I agree. Yeah, and honestly, it's interesting you say that. I hope I'm wrong on this, but I believe that, with China and Russia spreading our military out, I think that's a strategy that we're going to come to regret.
Yeah, I think we need to pull back our military. And if we weren't interfering so much, I bet China and Russia would go against each other and they would get competitive. But with us interfering, they're able to get along and ally and work together.
Yep. And guess what? You add South Korea to that, and Cuba, because I think they're all friends.
Our fault. I think we need to make friends with Russia, and they're dangerous. We don't really need them as an adversary. Okay, whether they're right or wrong, we shouldn't look at it that way. We need to look at it as these people are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't poke the bear. We should at least be civil. And I
Well,
think we're trying to basically poke the bear and go, well, what you're doing is wrong, wrong, wrong. Yeah, but we can't afford to go to war with them.
not at all. I mean, but I don't see us being friendly with Putin either. That's a dangerous conversation. Even when Trump was, kind of being his friend, I just thought that was weird because,
Well, you want to keep your enemies close, you know.
well, yeah, yeah,
And if you completely alienate the bad guys, then you're kind of giving them a free pass to get worse. If you can be friendly with them and keep an eye on them, maybe you can tone them down until you can figure out what to do with them.
totally. I think,
They're erratic, they're unpredictable. You kind of want to keep them close to your vest because they're bad guys.
yeah, no, I agree. But Putin being a former, what is it, KBG, their CIA, their version of the CIA. I mean, he's an interesting cookie. So
Yeah, but I have to admit, it does make him very qualified. He knows all about espionage. He knows all about information.
hmm
Therefore, he's extremely intelligent, and he shouldn't be underestimated. Because they put back in the day, they put their operatives through a lot of intellectual examination to test their intelligence.
Yep, totally. All right. So, what do you think? Fannie Willis's future. I didn't. Did they have an outcome to the trial yet, or they whatever
In,
they're doing?
in 2 weeks, the judge is going to deliver, the outcome. I think her problem is going to be dealing with a possible perjury charge. If she gets over that hump, I think she needs to pull back, regroup, and work on building herself back up because
Yeah.
she really damaged her career, especially with a lot of her testimony being televised and all the people that were brought up as witnesses. I think she needs to keep a low profile and just work on her career and building it back up.
Yeah. I think it just depends. I think right now she probably has like a 50-50 approval rating because there's some people that enjoy the fact that she did stand up for herself and she was very forceful in.
Yeah, but this isn't politics. This isn't
Well, I agree, but
and the bad thing about that is all of the people might be on her side. If she's found guilty of perjury, that could damage her career.
no, I totally agree. But but we got to give credit to that population of folks that kind of lean into that. But I do think there's a part of the emotional piece that that was a little too present. You know what I mean? So that part did kind of not do well for her because this whole I paid for everything in cash, and I think the emotions had the cart before the horse.
Well, she was insulted to even be questioned, and what she failed to understand. And I know you're usually in charge of these types of questionings. You're on the other end, but you need to tone down the authority and be a little
Right.
humble because now you're on the other end of the entire situation. So try to act more like a person being questioned and not like the attorney doing the questioning.
Yeah, most definitely. And so I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what would have been helpful for her was to be a little more humble about the situation. Even when she entered the courtroom, it was almost like, yeah, I'm here to prove a point, show you who I am, not be disrespectful, all of that stuff that probably kind of got in the way.
She was angry, and she
Yeah.
didn't have much control. She was insulted that she was even having to testify. You can
Yeah.
tell, and that's what really hurt her because the image that you want to display to the court, and I'm not talking about people in the court, is that you have to abide by the same laws everybody else abides by. I mean, that's our main complaint about the police.
Yeah.
Is qualifying immunity that they think they're above the law too. And
Yeah.
The regular citizens don't like that. They want everybody to be, somewhat respectful of the fact that they live under the same umbrella as all of us.
Right. And I think, going back to Trump, that's one of the reasons that there's a population of people that buy into what he's got going on because he is that face of rebellion, right? He does not stand for the status quo policy. He doesn't just go with the flow because it's been there 100,000 years. He pushes back, and I think people find it attractive.
It's attractive, but it also hurting too.
Yeah.
You have to have a happy medium, and that's hard to do because when you're in a position of authority, you have to be confident. You have to act in a certain way in order to get the job and the duties and the tasks performed. But when you're on the other end of the spectrum, you got to learn to pull it back, and ignite that humility that you put aside.
Exactly. Totally. I just think, and it's hard, you people are prying into your business, but she should have known that, like you said, going in, after a former president, especially Trump, and then they're questioning about relationship and it has nothing to do with it. But you got to pull back. Like you said, you got to dial back and be like, okay, what's the goal here? What am I doing?
I think a better move would have been for her not to testify. But she didn't really have to tell when the relationship began or any of the details. She could have pleaded the fifth. And no, you might have had speculation, but she wouldn't be dealing with a charge of perjury right now.
And my understanding is the guy who she was dating, he did a lot of perjury himself. Is that correct?
He's in danger of being in legal problems himself.
Wow.
So if they had just pleaded the fifth, people would gossip. It might damage their reputation, but now they're looking at possibly, they probably won't get jail time, but still, they're looking at possibly being charged with perjury, both of them.
Well, what's worse than jail time for them would be being disbarred.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that is dangerous, that kills your whole career.
Yeah, so I would have, if it were me, I wouldn't try to calm down, and I wouldn't just plead the fifth.
Or just not get on the stand, but
I wouldn't plead the fifth, not go on the stand. Then people would have had nothing but speculation and wouldn't damage my reputation, but that's something you can recover from.
Right, exactly. So, that I think her future will be fine. The one thing I wish she did not say, though, now that I think about it, was, I didn't want to run for district attorney. I only ran because, people made me do it. And because I took a pay cut. It was just, I don't think that was necessary. I knew what she was saying, but it came out wrong.
Yeah, but they found interviews where they can easily disprove that. She wanted to run.
Who would? Yeah.
That's like me saying I didn't want to run for city council. Yeah, I did. I like to keep my taxes low and the prices low so I don't lose this home, So I wanted to run to try to make the changes that I thought would preserve my life and the life of my neighbors.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't want to run. People made me. No, I didn't.
I had nothing to do. So, speaking of local issues, so we know the last 2 days we had our fair share of rain.
Oh, yeah.
Also know that I believe the property taxes and the rent kind of increased to handle stormwater drainage. What happened to that conversation?
Yeah, it just kind of got out, and all the money they didn't have, and then we brought this up on the last episode, that $4 million for a parking lot for the MR. That could have been used for the storm and the drainage. That money that we didn't have could have been used to handle the storm and drainage that we don't have the money for.
As I'm driving through the river of the streets of Savannah,
I'm
just like, what just happened? Like, people live, like, the base rent went from maybe $750 average to like $1,300.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Hey, just watch. It's going to go up again in a couple of months. You think I'm joking? Watch.
It's bad. It's really bad because a one bedroom that's probably the size of two New York apartments is like 1,300. That's crazy. Who
If
ever thought we would get there?
yeah, but if you're bringing the majority of your workforce from other cities
Hmm.
who are not used to a lower economy, they think that's wonderful. Whereas the people
Yeah.
who are born and raised here, we think it's insane. So this is more proof they have no plans to hire the native born and raised Somalians, even if they're qualified. At best, they'll hire a few token Somalians and they'll
Yep.
prop them up at every advertisement opportunity they can. But
Yep.
the majority of born and raised Somalians who aren't qualified, more than willing to be trained on the job, they will ignore and not hire.
Yeah.
And they'll
I,
bring all their workforce from other cities, other states, and that workforce will be coming from cities where the economy is much higher. So the real will be cheap to them, and they'll put them on camera. Oh, the rent's great here. Yeah, from where you come from.
mhm.
For us, it's a killer.
And that's my and
Well,
that's my that's my biggest fear with the Hyundai plant. I'm optimistic that our community will benefit from some of the opportunities out there. However, I have this feeling that Hyundai is going to probably ship a good number of their people
yeah.
this way.
And they've already made a deal with the local schools, I won't name which ones, to offer courses so they can get permit certifications to work at Hyundai. Okay, that's a bunch of bull. That's a money grab. You can just hire them and train them on the job. That's what you
Mhm.
got for the employees that you're shipping here. You could have done it for the employees you claim to be hiring there from here. So making them take a course in a university, a college, or anywhere and get a certification doesn't mean you're going to hire them. So
Right.
then you get the certification, then they don't get a job. And then
Yep.
you want poor people who are unemployed to somehow come up with the money for school to get the permits and the certifications to work for
Mhm.
you, which means because they'll have the money, they'll raise taxes even more in order to pay for the schooling. So
Yep.
it's one disastrous circle.
Yep. Crazy. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. Um, and I guess our final topic tonight is the crisis at the border. So, if I'm Biden right now, I would just sign an executive order and be done with it and quit playing the games with the other side.
I don't know. They got this standoff going. I don't think either one of them's doing much, and the only people that are going to suffer are the American people. And a lot of the people that are coming across the border, some of them are criminals, some of them don't even come from Mexico. They're being shipped from other countries going through Mexico. There's no way we can keep up to find out who's who or to event anybody. So it's not that people should be worrying about so much the mass immigration, it's who the immigrants are. Are they terrorists? Are they here to harm us? That should be a worry right there.
Totally. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw on the news, unfortunately, I believe it was last week, a student was visiting the University of Georgia and was murdered on their intramural field. And it was sad, but allegedly, someone who had crossed the border illegally was the murderer. And so, while everybody who crosses the border illegally, well, I won't use the word illegally, without documentation, they're not necessarily what Trump says they are. They're not bad people, but it makes it even worse when you have that type of situation and they don't have the appropriate documentation that they need.
Yeah, and there's so many coming, and you don't have an opportunity to vet them and figure out who they are. There's no way of knowing because you just have a flood of people coming. It's just, I hope this gets resolved before any more people lose their lives.
Yeah, totally. I just think, what's going to solve it? I don't think a wall per se, a physical wall will solve it. They'll just go around it or, put a
Yes,
hole
a multitude of things.
in it. Hmm.
All a venting system, busting the employers that hire illegal immigrants, because arresting the immigrants, okay, they're just trying to get food. Bust the owners of the business.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are abusing them. They know what they're doing is wrong. Bust them. If a fine doesn't work, put them in jail for a little while. And let's see how well the wealthy like being behind bars. So we
Wow.
won't seem to do that. We always round up the immigrants and we either punish them or ship them back, and nothing happens to the business owners except maybe a fine. No, if the fines aren't working, put them in jail for a couple of days. See how they like it.
You mean the business owners that are violating the labor laws?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if the
That-
fines don't work, if you get them to adhere with fines,
yeah.
give them some jail time, see how much they like it. Better yet, put them in prison for only a couple of days with real hardened criminals, and maybe that'll set them straight.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about the violation of the labor law is, with me, as long as you're paying, and this is bad, but as long as you're paying, the worker a good wage, I understand it, because what happens, they don't have to pay taxes on that. Now, that's not the right thing to do. However, I get it.
Well, I'm in HR, and the reason I don't like the labor laws being violated, it gives them the opportunity to pay below minimum wage. Okay.
That's true. That is true.
The reason I don't like that is if we encourage another group of people in America to work for under minimum wage, then that alienates any native born Americans from getting a job, and they can't afford to work for less than minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they can afford, well, they're affording it and they're living in groups. Whole families living in a one bedroom apartment. And you think, well, what's wrong with that? Fire hazard, all types of liability hazards where they could die with that many people living in a one bedroom. We made these laws for a reason.
Yeah.
If we were really concerned about being fair, we would make them legal. We would pay them minimum wage. That way, they can afford not to cram 2 generations of a family into a one bedroom apartment or trailer where they all die because of some accident that happened to the domicile.
Yeah. If a fire breaks out, then God forbid, So you're right, but we've got to get that kind of under control, because in Chicago, I don't know if you have heard or saw the news story, but there's so many that have migrated to Chicago that resources are very scarce, and so students are now e-learning while using the schools for a shelter, and that's weird.
Well, it's because they're not controlling the flow. We want people to come to America. We just want it to happen at a slower rate so we can make the financial accommodations for them. Because when you enter a new country, you'll automatically always get a job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a while. So we give them government money to help them out until they're able to get on their feet. Well, if a massive float comes in, the people don't have enough tax dollars to compensate them until they get a job. We just don't have it. That's why we control the flow. It's not because we don't want new people here. It's just so we can accommodate them so they can integrate into society. Sorry, I can't speak tongue tied.
No, that makes sense. I got you. But I think it's a mess. So you got the border, and we're in other countries doing everything else. It's almost like we're neglecting our own people who really need assistance. And so that's, when you look at it like that, it's like, wait a minute, what are we doing? We got folks over here hungry who have similar concerns as the people that we are trying to help out or let over the border, and we're not even serving our own people.
You're right. We can't call ourselves a sovereign nation if we don't protect the interests of the citizens that were born here first.
Yeah.
I'm all for helping other people. I'm all for welcoming new people to become citizens in the country, but we need to help our own first.
Exactly.
We need to get back to the Maslow hierarchy: food, shelter, and then everything else. That's why you and I ran. We weren't concerned for ourselves, not just our neighbors, but ourselves. I personally, I want more opportunity. I want cheaper pricing. I want to be able to remain in Savannah. But if things keep going the way they're going, I'm going to have to scrounge up money and move.
Listen, I was looking at the average mortgage maybe 2 weeks ago. It's outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. So you're exactly right.
All it is all the wrong decisions or a few choice decisions, and boom, you're on the street homeless.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that much.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. Well, we're at our mark. We made it through another Sunday. We'll hopefully have Mr. Thompson back with us in 2 weeks. And so we'll re-air this next Sunday. So Clint, we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care now.
I like that.